Start. Dim.
Hello again, this is BGFH and welcome back to Illegally Cited, and I'm back for one last iOS video. Yep, the time has come. iOS 7 is officially out today, and I have tried to put it, or I have put it successfully onto my work iPod Touch, and it's definitely an interesting thing which I'll kind of get to in a minute. But I believe this is going to be my real last direct feed iOS video. I am still going to do some more iOS coverage because I am going to try and record some of those camera-based apps that I talked about earlier, like the magnification ones, the apps that turn your phone in or your device into, let's say, a portable CCTV, a barcode scanner, object recognizer, money identifier, all those types of things. I mean, because those things I'm not actually able to directly record with this xRec app because they just, for whatever reason, don't seem to get along. So I definitely am going to cover those, figure that out a little in a different way to do that, but I will be covering those in the future. But as far as recording things directly on my screen, as I have been, this is definitely, I think this is going to be the last video for now, because I do have the xRec app on the iPod Touch, and I did try it with iOS 7, and unfortunately it's, yes, kind of broken. What actually happens is, when I go into the app, it launches the app perfectly fine. I can use all the controls perfectly fine, and as a matter of fact, I can actually record within the xRec app perfectly fine. I get video, I get audio, life is good. However, when I hit home or I go to another app, everything looks like it's recording fine when I'm doing the recording, but when I go back to play everything, it just records all it does is it does record the audio, but visually, all you see is a big black nothing. So nothing visually gets recorded. So unless some weird, miraculous iOS patch or something happens where it unbreaks it, which I doubt is going to happen, I think my xRec days are over, and I'm probably not going to be jumping into the whole jailbreak thing right now. I mean, it's something I've considered, and who knows what crazy thing I'll attempt in the future. But for now, I don't believe I'm going to be doing any jailbreaking to use any special apps like that. I do feel that I've done a pretty good job, at least for like the apps that I typically use and often recommend and show people, whether it's for productivity or entertainment or gaming, whatever. I've tried to cover the ones that I think I find really useful, or that I find that work really well with voiceover, or serve some kind of interesting purpose. So there are definitely more, and I would highly recommend. Really, the comprehensive resource that you guys want to go to is the AppleViz website, and that's at www.applevis.com, AppleVis.com, and it's a great website. They've got a whole huge app directory there. You can narrow your app choices down by by category. So if you want to find some music apps, some games, some sports or recreation things, or whatever. I mean, there's just tons of topics there. And that's where I actually get a lot of my app recommendations. So definitely check out AppleVis, and if I remember, I'll try to put a link to the AppleVis website in the description for this video. So, yes, that is, like I said, I think this is going to be my last direct feed iOS video for the time being. Hopefully Apple wisens up and loosens up a little bit, and maybe would allow eventually some direct recording of their device, because like I said in an earlier video, I mean, all these videos can really do is help promote how well not only their devices, but their apps and their accessibility in my channel's case, you know, how well this stuff works, and all it's really gonna do, theoretically, is make people want to buy these devices. So I don't really see a downside. So with that, I think I will just really quickly give you some first really quick impressions of iOS 7. Like I said, I downloaded it earlier today. I've played with it now for probably a couple hours on the iPod Touch. And there are some really interesting things in there. There's some things I really am liking. There's a couple things that I really am not liking right now. But basically, all the new VoiceOver stuff, VoiceOver seems to work really well. There's, out of the things I've tried, I think it's a little more responsive. I like the fact that I can, without muting the device, I can actually turn the little clicks on and off as I'm moving through items if I want to. The other thing that I really like with VoiceOver specifically, and I didn't even know about it until not too long ago, is they've actually added a rotor option where if you do no print, when you're in an edit field, you can actually print, like you can actually handwrite your letters and directly, basically write into an edit field instead of using the keyboard. And the handwriting recognition is surprisingly quite good. I don't know how much I'll use it, but I could see myself, especially if I may be doing a longer email to somebody and I really don't have access to a keyboard, I could see that being actually kind of useful. So that's kind of a surprising thing that I kind of like. As far as like the new features of iOS in general, the Command Center is a long overdue feature, which basically allows you to swipe up from the bottom of the screen just like you would your notification center. But instead the Command Center will give you some quick, basically a quick way to turn on a lot of things like your Wi-Fi, your Bluetooth, your sleep mode, your do not disturb. You've got a brightness slider. You've got some quick play controls like your play, your next and previous tracks. And then on the bottom you've got a quick couple of buttons for a couple of quick things like a flashlight, the calculator, and I forget a couple other little odds and ends. So it's a really quick way. We've all wanted a quick way to toggle some of those features on and off for some time. It should have been in iOS years ago, but it's finally here. And while we're on that topic, Siri can actually do those things now too. So if you really want to, you could just activate Siri and do, and just say, turn Wi-Fi on, turn Bluetooth off. And you can even use it to turn VoiceOver on and off. So if you get a phone or you get an added device and the triple click isn't enabled, you can just hold the home button down and tell Siri, turn on VoiceOver, and boom, there you go. So some nice features there. I would say the main thing that I'm not liking right now is some of the visual design. They've definitely, as people have said, the interface has definitely been flattened, and I'll show you in another, when I do some of these off-screen videos, you'll see some of the interface. And I just find overall that some of the text is actually a lot harder to read. There's not as much color variety, so like, usually your title bar or your tabs across the bottom of a lot of apps, they would be in different colors, and you would just have a lot more. It was just a lot easier to discern where different things were in the window, whereas now everything just looks, especially they like their white background, and text is just doesn't stand out near as much. There is an option under accessibility now though, and I would probably, especially if you're a low vision user, I would highly recommend turning on right away, and that is there's a bold text option, which actually does, for whatever reason, require a device reboot, but once you come back up, the fonts are much darker and more like they are now. Still doesn't solve all the visual things that I'm really not particularly keen on right now, but it's a start. So I'll try to go through some of that, you know, as we go, and I'll probably do a Siri video too, because that's something I was also unable to cover with this xRec app. So a lot of these camera apps, and probably a Siri video of some point, especially now that they've said that they've taken it out of beta. You know, just so there is still more iOS coverage to look forward to. I haven't really scratched the surface of iOS 7 yet. Like I said, I've played with it for a couple of hours, did some initial configuration, did some playing around, can get around the interface okay. A lot of what you know in iOS 6 is going to be the same. So a lot of your core gestures, your flicks, your 2-finger, your 3-finger gestures are going to be the same. Your rotor is still there. All of those things are still the same, but they just, in some areas, they do act a little bit differently, and some of the gestures might work a little bit differently than you would expect in certain areas. So we'll see what we can do as far as, you know, we'll see how clear I can get some of these future videos when I'm recording them from one device to another. And maybe if I can get them clear enough, maybe I'll do kind of a little iOS 7 overview as well. But, you know, some of the differences. But, yeah, it's definitely an interesting change. If you're just a voiceover user and you're not looking at it visually, you're going to notice some, like I said, some gesture commands, but you probably won't really notice. It's probably just going to be like, okay, well, a couple things are different, but okay, we're good. I think if you're a low vision user who actually does look at the screen a fair amount, whether you're using voiceover or not, I think you're going to have a few more issues, and you may or may not like the new look of iOS 7. So that said, I think I'm going to wrap this video up here, and it's been pretty cool being able to do these videos. Hope you guys have enjoyed them. Hope you found them useful. I'm going to still, like I said, try to cover iOS in some fashion. I've got a couple devices, so I'm able to hopefully still get some stuff going, but I'm definitely going to also be slowing down in my video content here, not going to be unleashing, you know, videos every day, slow things down a little bit, but yeah, hope you guys found all this iOS stuff interesting, and we'll see what I can do as far as covering this in the future. And until next time, we'll wrap it up here, and I will talk to you guys next time.